I'm Kelda Yoon. Just in time for back to school, the TTC announcing today it is increasing service on its buses, streetcars, and subways. The changes, which take effect September 1st, will return service to 97% of pre-pandemic levels. Some welcome news for commuters who have been finding themselves waiting a little longer than they'd like. Dale Manukduk has more.
Left waiting for the bus in the sweltering heat, reviews of public transit in Scarborough are lukewarm at best.
It's very crowded, and the apps, they're never on time.
It delays a lot. There's always delay, and it affects both night, morning, and afternoon.
The city and the TTC are announcing a slew of changes to address all of those concerns.
Starting on September 1st, we're going to be providing more room on board with more buses or larger articulated vehicles running on our busy routes. We're going to be improving service frequency and reducing crowding and matching service to ridership demand.
The announcement was made in Scarborough, which has taken its lumps when it comes to transit, including last year's shutdown of the Line 3 RT.
In regards to the RT just breaking down, the stories and the experiences are all quite negative. So it's good that buses get updated and increased.
Before the pandemic, this entire area used to be they called it 10 minutes or better for the service, and if you check now, it's not 10 minutes or better. You're lucky if it's 15 minutes at best.
The changes address the 54 Lawrence bus route as well as several others.
There will be 16 bus routes which will have increased services, shorter wait times, more room on board. 23 routes will see bus coming more reliably.
The Transit Commission is also boosting service on Line 1 of the subway during the morning and evening rushes. Instead of every 3 to 4 minutes, it's going to come every 2 to 3 minutes. The TTC is also adding 6 new and revised routes in South Etobicoke, Northeast Scarborough, and East Scarborough, including the 154 Curran Hall, a direct bus line from Kennedy Station to U of T Scarborough.
Honestly, since the loss of the line that went directly to Scarborough Town Centre, things have been a little harder here to commute, but I'm really looking forward to any transit options the city can offer. We can really need them here.
The increased service costs $10 million annually, which was already baked into this year's budget.
It's good at the best of times and terrible and unpleasant at the worst of times.
While the changes are welcome, transit advocates are looking for more.
We're here on Eglinton. Eglinton is a place where 4 years ago red bus lanes were put down, and that's meant a whole lot for students accessing university, folks accessing the GO train line, getting to work, accessing services. So we're trying to see more bold action like that. And since the 4 years, there's been very little movement on rapid TO.
Now, that transit advocate that I spoke with wants to see the city do more on streets like Dufferin, which we know in Toronto is referred to as Suffern-Dufferin, as well as some other arterial roads around Toronto. Now, there are a lot of changes that will take effect next week on September 1st. I'll encourage our audience to head to our website, the CBC Toronto website, to get those in more detail. We'll send it back to you, Kelda.
That was our Dale Manukduk reporting. The city is seeing a sharp rise in cases of whooping cough. Toronto Public Health says the number of cases is more than double the pre-pandemic average, and it is urging parents to ensure their children are vaccinated, adding the highly contagious disease is most dangerous for infants. Anam Khan has more.
A troubling spike in a serious respiratory illness.
Sometimes children die from whooping cough, so it's not just such an innocent disease.
Toronto Public Health confirming 99 cases of whooping cough so far this year, more than double the pre-pandemic 5-year average of 38.
A lot of these bacteria and viruses are cyclic, and so they come in waves, and you have epidemics of whooping cough.
Dr. Anna Banerjee explaining the illness, also known as pertussis, spreads through respiratory droplets. It sees a spike every 2 to 5 years. While the disease is most dangerous for infants, Toronto Public Health says over 40% of cases they are seeing is in 10 to 14-year-olds. Whooping cough is known for its severe coughing fits. It's contagious and persistent, and it's followed by an intake of air that sounds like a whoop, something like this. In some cases, it could be life-threatening, mostly in infants, who may cough so hard that they stop breathing.
They have a narrow trachea. You don't hear that in adults. Adults can certainly get severe infection and prolonged cough, but this is really, this can be very severe in kids.
The illness already rapidly spreading in other parts of Canada, with New Brunswick declaring an outbreak with over 140 cases so far this year. And it's not the only concern right now. Last week, Mpox was declared a global public health emergency by the World Health Organization, an illness that spreads through skin-to-skin contact.
We're seeing more of these infections these days. And it's really unfortunate because many of them are vaccine preventable, and with good public health and access to public health, much of this can be avoided.
Toronto Public Health is recommending people keep up on their vaccination status. Children should be vaccinated the first 2 years of their life, getting boosters at 4 years, 14 years, and 24 years of age. Anam Khan, CBC News, Toronto.
A motorcyclist has life-threatening injuries after colliding with a car in Whitby tonight. It happened in the intersection of Dryden Boulevard and Thixon Road. Durham police say the driver of the motorcycle was taken to a Toronto hospital with critical injuries. No one in the car was injured. And with a troubling rise in carjackings and gun crimes in York Region, police are outlining their plan to crack down on it. The force also calling for stricter punishments for offenders. Tyler Cheese has the details.
There's been a 92% increase in shootings and a 106% increase in carjackings in York Region since the start of this year. And local police say those figures are linked.
The surge in gun violence can be attributed to organized crime rings who are obtaining and using illegal handguns to commit a number of offenses. Organized crime is also behind both the nationwide increases in auto thefts that we've all witnessed.
I think I got him. I think he just went through the intersection.
In light of the rising numbers, York Regional Police will establish a dedicated carjacking unit next month. At the same time, the service will roll out a new auto theft prevention campaign to help educate the public. But auto theft and gun violence aren't the only types of crime on the rise. Hate crimes have risen by 4%, and York Region has also seen an increase in homicides with 15 so far this year, 5 of which have been in the last month.
All of the victims in these cases were targeted. These were not random crimes. However, we do understand that these crimes can shake our community to its core.
All of that's prompted police to call for bail reform with stricter punishments for offenders.
There are many cases where we find young people brandishing handguns, victimizing community members, and then in short order, in some cases, back out on bail, out on the streets again.
But some local advocates say bail reform isn't the only answer to rising crime rates.
What happened to the prevention? Why don't we invest in prevention? Yes, when they commit something, they need to pay. But at the same time, how can we correct them when they come out? It has to be some kind of a program to redirect them, invest on them as well.
She says she'd rather see more investments going toward programs to keep youth away from crime, as well as those that help offenders who have already served time.
So helping them in mental illness, finding appropriate counseling and therapy, and redirecting them appropriate meaningful jobs that helps them integrating on society.
In the meantime, York Regional Police are calling on the public to be aware of their surroundings and report anything that looks or feels suspicious. Crimes in progress should be reported to 911 immediately. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Aurora.
A man has been taken to a trauma center with life-threatening injuries following a shooting in North York overnight. It happened a little after midnight outside a row of restaurants at Shepherd and Abraham Welsh Road near Weston. A second man was assessed on scene and treated for minor injuries. Investigators were on scene this morning looking for evidence. 2 vehicles, a van and an SUV, are being examined by police. No details on suspects have been released. The federal government and the province have been pushing for the switch to electric vehicles. But if you live in Toronto and rely on street parking, finding a convenient place to charge your car can be tough. One East End resident says there's a simple solution that the city won't allow. Sarah McMillan reports.
For John Chen, going electric just made sense. He's on the road a lot as an Uber driver, and not fueling up with gas means big savings.
When I was driving a gas vehicle, I paid like over $1,000 a month on gas.
But while his wallet is getting a break, driving an electric vehicle, or EV, has brought new inconveniences. Chen doesn't have a driveway, so like some 60,000 so-called garage orphans in the city, he relies on street parking. But to charge his car overnight, there are limited options. Just about every day, he does this same walk, nearly half an hour round trip to charge his car.
It's not super close at all, and that's the issue. There's closer options available, but it requires a permit that I'm not eligible for.
Chen lives right near the edge of his parking permit zone. Many of the on-street chargers within his zone are 1, 2, even close to 3 kilometers away. There are 2 chargers on residential streets that would be a shorter walk, but he can't park there overnight since they're in different permit zones. He says he asked the city about getting a permit for a neighboring zone, but was told no.
I just think it was dumb. Considering that the city really wants people to get electric vehicles. So I think this is certainly not helping with their targets, with their 2030 targets.
Those targets are to have 30% electric vehicles registered in the City of Toronto by 2030, part of its net zero strategy. Experts say increasing access to charging stations will be essential to meeting that goal.
Who would be willing to walk half an hour every day round trip just to get their car charged? I think when we looked at this, people were willing to walk about 5 minutes, and that's kind of the maximum.
We asked the city why it won't issue permits for neighboring parking zones for EV drivers like Chen, or issue specific permits for EV charging stations. In a statement, a city spokesperson said the current system provides an equitable distribution of parking permits.
It's a tough balance.
EV researcher Olivier Trescas says he understands not wanting to set a precedent of making exceptions for EV drivers, but says easy access to charging is key to the energy transition.
I think this is part of the growing pains. As we go from the early adopters to mass adoption, there's a difficult road.
There are on-street chargers at just over 50 locations across the city. The city also operates chargers in 30 Green P lots. The International Energy Association recommends 1 charging port for every 10 EVs. A report from the city earlier this summer shows at its current pace, it's on track to have just 1 port for every 70 EVs by 2040. As the city works toward meeting its targets, the Atmospheric Fund says it makes sense for the focus to be on other charging infrastructure.
In our view, the priority is to get charging into multifamily homes.
Those residents make up a large portion of the city, while garage orphans like Chen may have to keep hunting for places to charge up. Sarah McMillan, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. The city is hoping to turn down the volume at a Yorkville off-leash dog park. They say they've been getting complaints from residents about the park being too noisy, with commercial dog walkers taking the blame. Those dog walkers are now being banned from the site, but as Clara Pasica reports, some are asking the city to reconsider.
Wow. Rebecca Riddell and her 4-legged posse are regulars at Ramsden Park's off-leash area. Late last week, Riddell spotted signs announcing commercial dog walkers will be banned from the area beginning September 19th.
I'm really upset with the way that it's come about because we weren't included in the discussion whatsoever.
Members of the ABC Residents Association told the local councillor Diane Sachs between barking and parking, the off-leash area wasn't working anymore. One board member whose home backs onto this section of the park wants the off-leash area moved to the park's east side.
The challenge that we're having is the volume has increased, which has added more noise in that area. The design of the park originally was not great because A, it's adjacent to houses, B, we had a lot of issues with flooding.
In June, the councillor tabled a motion to ban commercial dog walkers from using the space, but dog walkers say the level of activity right now is reasonable.
There's noise in every city park. There's the pickleball is like, people complain about it all the time. There's tennis balls, there's kids screaming, there's kids with whistles in their mouths playing soccer. Like, it's a park. It's a park in the center of the city.
Dog walkers say their livelihoods are on the line, as is the well-being of local pets. How do you feel about soon not being able to come to this dog park with your dog walker and friends? Some residents who live on the adjacent streets don't want to see the little dog packs leave either.
It makes me sad, honestly. A lot of Frankie's best buddies that he plays with on a daily basis are brought here through the commercial dog walkers. And overall, I think it's a public space that should be enjoyed by everyone.
I feel like it'd be pretty sad because I love when small dogs come, and I feel like it's really cute.
Good job.
Sachs told CBC the ban is temporary until city staff come up with a master plan for dog parks, including criteria for allowing commercial dog walkers, who she plans to meet with in September. Meanwhile, dog walkers have started a petition hoping to reverse the ban or allow them to use the park in the midday hours when their four-legged clients need walks most. Clara Pasica, CBC News, Toronto.
Team Canada has announced its flag bearers for tomorrow's opening ceremony of the Paris Paralympic Games. Champion swimmer Katarina Roxon, who is competing in her 5th Games, and wheelchair basketball star Patrick Anderson, who is in his 6th and final Games, will lead Canada's parade of Paralympic athletes. Roxon has 1 Paralympic gold and 1 bronze. Anderson has 3 golds and 1 silver. Meanwhile, celebrations are continuing for our Olympians who were competing in Paris just a few weeks ago. Tonight, Mississauga is recognizing gold medal winning canoeist Katie Vincent. Our Greg Ross joined the party and spoke to the champion herself.
We're at the Mississauga Canoe Club. This is where Katie got her start, right here on the Credit River beside us. Canoeing on that water right there. You still train here to this day, and that water right there is what helped you win those 2 medals. You now have 3 Olympic medals because you won a bronze also in Tokyo as well. But the gold medal was very special at these games because you've become the first woman ever to win a gold medal in canoe and kayaking. So that's got to be pretty amazing to hold that. First Canadian woman.
It's incredible, and I think, you know, our sport's been in the Olympics for a long time, and we've had a lot of success with our men's program, and you know, it's just nice to see a female at the top and to represent our sport in that way. And I hope it continues to inspire, you know, more young women and men to get into our sport and keep fighting for the Olympics. And you know, I'm just glad that I can share this tonight with my community.
And the community's coming out. We've seen people coming out, lots of young kids here. Yeah. Maybe these are future canoeing stars who are coming out to meet you and to see you, take pictures with you. Just talk about what it means to be able to give back after, you know, being able to train here and work with Olympic athletes when you were younger. Now you're the one that they're looking up to.
Yeah, this is where it started for me, right? We joined the canoe club in 2006 just as a summer camp, and it just started that way for, you know, all these kids here. It's just where they come down in the summer times, and it's where our family fell in love with it and the community. And we still to this day, you know, some of my best friends are the people that I met, you know, just putting around on this river as young kids. And you know, over time for me, it became high performance and it became sport. And you know, I may be the only one left, but it's nice to see, you know, a few of them are already here tonight. And you know, there's a lot of alumni out, and you know, a lot of future generations. And it's just gonna be, you know, it's just a really special moment for our sport. And you know, it's just nice to celebrate that, you know, right back where it all started.
Yeah, so now we talked about the 3. You've got the bronze medal as well that you won in the C2 500 meter race with your partner, Sloan McKenzie. So she's not here tonight. She's in Halifax. But I mean, and you won the same medal, bronze, in the C2 500 in Tokyo as well. So that's one of your strong suits for sure.
Yeah, I think the C2 is definitely what I was like focused on a lot heading into these Olympics, and it's what we prepared for, you know, the most, especially with Sloan. You know, we spent a lot of the last 6 months together just, you know, fine-tuning and trying to be as ready as possible for Paris. And, you know, we were plugging away at C1 on the side, but, you know, C2 is a big project, and crew boats are a huge campaign for any athlete in our sport. So, you know, winning that bronze medal with her, you know, I was really excited and really proud of us. And, you know, we've only been a crew for 2 or 3 years, so the progress we've made is incredible. And you know, if you saw like our first World Cup in 2022, we didn't even make the final. We didn't even qualify, and then, you know, 2.5 years later, we're on the Olympic podium. So I just think that progress that we've made and you know, the resilience we've had as a crew is really special, and it makes, you know, this bronze medal even more important to me. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Chris Potter now with a check on your forecast. And Chris, a pretty hot one out there today.
Yeah, Kelly, it's been kind of a stretch of heat, but today a lot of areas peaked above 30, and the humidity was a huge factor. For the most part, it felt like the mid-30s both Saturday and Sunday this past weekend. Today it felt above 40 in a lot of locales across the GTA and a lot of areas across southern Ontario. To put that into perspective, the normal daytime high for this time of year, 24.4, normal overnight low, 12.9. And obviously we have been above that today, peaking at around 31 in Toronto, 33 in Windsor, 29 in Ottawa. And once again, with the humidity, it did make it feel as high as 40 or a touch above in a lot of areas. Active weather-wise, we still have that line of thunderstorms continuing to migrate towards the northern shores of Lake Erie. Once we get into the later stages of the evening, that's when we start to see the opportunity for some rainfall in the city just before midnight. We're going to hold on to kind of on and off bursts of rainfall across the board. Doesn't look significant. You might experience a rumble of thunder, but these are non-severe thunderstorms, unlike areas to our southwest through the early to mid-evening. Now, in terms of what happens through the day on Wednesday, it's basically a story about lingering cloud. It's going to be a fairly gray weather day. It's going to be noticeably cooler. The air is going to be drier thanks to the winds becoming more northerly. So if you're not a fan of the high heat and humidity, tomorrow will be for you. And for that matter, into Thursday, especially if you like it sunny. We're going to see a lot of sunshine across areas across the GTA, north and east, a lot more cloud cover across southwestern Ontario. Maybe a couple of drops of rain here and there, but nothing organized. This is not a very strong system moving through. We do, however, cloud over a little bit more into the day on Friday in the morning. A few showers across the northern shores of Lake Ontario, but it's into the late stages of the day. Maybe in the afternoon, once again, a couple of isolated showers, but the main wave will start to migrate in from the west, and that's what moves in for the evening. So we might actually escape Friday without rainfall until, once again, the late evening and into the overnight. Speaking of the overnight low is not so low, basically in the 20s in most areas. Once again, the source region of the cooler northerly winds, you're going to see temperatures well to the north dropping back down into the just barely into the double digits. That's for overnight lows tonight. For daytime highs tomorrow, a little bit better, 24 for us in Toronto, 23 in Oshawa, 30 degrees through Windsor, and it's still going to feel like the mid-30s in a lot of areas across southwestern Ontario. But for the GTA, it does look like it will feel maybe as high as 30, and that is it. Temperatures around 23 to 24 for tomorrow. Similar story on Thursday with lots of sun. Friday, once again, a slight chance of showers, but once again, I'm suspecting that it will be the later stages of the evening. It gets a little muggy as well, feeling like 35. Saturday, Sunday. Saturday appears dry, will become mostly sunny. By Sunday, there could be a few showers out there, primarily across cottage country, but it will dry out in all areas for Monday. That's your forecast. Got that.
Thanks so much, Chris.